first moved from Jamaica to Newfoundland in 2008. I would say my first impressions are a little complicated because I grew up watching NTV. So I guess I had this mediated relationship with Newfoundland ever since I was a child. And, it was like, I wasn't like choosing the programs to watch. I'd be watching whatever my grandmother or my mother put on kind of thing. So it was always like select programs too. So like scenes of Newfoundland, soap operas, the news, like random things. So I had this like a very skewed idea of like what to expect from Newfoundland. To me, I guess that means just, living while black. Being black is such a political thing, I find, and to just like live and to thrive and to like put aside some of your mental anguish to create things and put into the world that could be acknowledged or celebrated or something. I just think that ability to put something out there with your all, to show yourself and be vulnerable in that way, is enough of a sign of excellence for me. I think an excellent way to do that is to continue with all the Black history programming that you see inside February. I mean, if it's impossible to maintain it at the volume that it is at in February, I mean, some steps could be taken to ensure that even like a fraction of that work that goes into February, into recognizing Black voices and Black people's contributions to society, could be done throughout the year. I think like once a month or like, I don't know, once every 2 months or something, like have it consistently in the news. So like even students growing up don't think that, only in February we think about Black excellence, think about Black contributions, think about Black history in general. I would say, we're both on our own time. Things in Jamaica, things in Newfoundland, they never really start at the advertised start time, which I'm like glad I was used to growing up, but I also run on that time. So I'm like, I don't feel that bad like perpetually being a little bit late to everything, because I'm like, it's not like they were gonna start on time. And then there's just the general warmth of the people, and that like desire to get to know you a little bit more is very prominent in both islands. And then, looking at our colonial histories, the food is so similar, and I think that was a really like strong thing for me, because I love to eat, and I was like, I can get similar ingredients here. Like, why do people know what these things are? So Black Harbour, we did a podcast with CBC looking at some of the free and enslaved Black people that had been in Newfoundland for hundreds of years ago, I should say. And so Boulder Books approached us and was like, they were interested in turning it into a book. And so we were like, well, this is a great opportunity to like, have this information about Black history in Newfoundland in one place, or at least some of the information in one place, like just to scratch the surface of it. So yeah, a brief overview is just like looking at some of the Black people that called Newfoundland and Labrador home, either by way of choice or like forcefully over like a few hundred years. So bringing that to the public. Like highlight something that people may not have talked about in any great detail, or like considered it because of the conception that, Black people probably came during one of the wars to like help, the Americans or something. So just to give someone older, someone younger, anyone, because, if it's not really in the education system and people aren't just like spreading it through the oral culture, then there's really no way for that information to get transmitted from generation to generation. So just hopefully that, somebody who read it, or someone who knows someone who read it, or like some whatever line of degree of separation to the book or to the material, that knowledge, gets into the culture and like people start thinking about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
As they tell like more stories about Newfoundland, it might come up. Something about this and Black history might come up in one of those stories. I guess some of the surprises, like, it was like mostly, I guess, personal, being from Jamaica, and calling myself being from Newfoundland as well, and like loving these two places and never thinking as well, I can admit, like one of those people who always had like a passing curiosity about why are these things so similar? Like, how are histories connected? But like finally sitting down and like looking at it and looking at records of seeing like boats that were made here that eventually brought people to Jamaica and like did it like 3-4 times and like thousands of people, and it adds up, and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. That's like shocking and interesting, and still hard to fathom that, you know, that like my history with Newfoundland potentially began hundreds of years ago, and I never really thought about it. I would say to give it a shot. It will probably be different than what you're used to, but I think if you give it a shot, try and find your community, try and find your people, it will definitely help. You can find parts of home and like make that a reality in Newfoundland in your everyday, then that'll also help. Staying connected to where you come from also, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I'm like, give it a shot. It's cold, it's gonna be different, but it's beautiful and it'll grow on you, and it'll, like, Newfoundland will work its way into your heart and just never leave. And then you will never want to leave.